Visions of you, raise you tonight, I'll be rotating. Visions of you, raise you tonight, I'll be rotating.
What is going on, everybody? My camera's not on. There we go. What is going on? Welcome to the stream. Thanks so much for waiting on me. I was setting up some stuff. Let me turn down the music on my end, and then we can get jumping into this. There we go. Welcome everybody. See, why is the time going up? Don't know what you mean I wasn't looking at it. Sorry if it was going up. Whoopsies. I was pranking you guys. That's really what it was. And some people are speaking in a language that I do not know. So unfortunately, I cannot comment based on that stuff. Guessing it's some Turkish people talking in chat. Does the render have to be a cube? Not too sure what you're talking about, but we're getting into this. Let me go ahead and get rid of the timer and stuff like that. But yeah, no, everybody, welcome to this stream. If you haven't been a part of any of the Rating Your Visual Effects streams before, today I will be looking at your visual effects live. If you joined our amazing Discord community, which I'm going to quickly plug, that link is in the description of this live stream if you want to go ahead and join us. But I had you guys submit your visual effects with this link right here. Unfortunately, it is closed. Here, I'll just type that in. Submissions are now closed. However, if you did miss the cutoff, we are going to be doing another stream like this. The only difference this time is we are actually going to be taking your Blender projects and everything like that. If you have like After Effects projects, all that stuff, you can send them in here as well. So that is going to be, again, on the Discord. Link is in the description. On Rating Your Visual Effects 4, I've been loving this series. You guys have been loving it as well, and so I thought we'd take it a step up and actually go into your project files this time, and that'll be super fun. Of course, if you do send them in, I am going to be breaking them down and taking it apart, so if you don't want that, you can just, of course, submit the final video, and so keep that in mind. It is going to be out there public, so if you have any curiosity or like any worries there, then please don't submit that. The final video is totally fine, but we can go ahead and get started. Please talk about V-Ray Blender new update. I haven't really played around with it too much, so I'm not going to really talk about it too much, but it's definitely very exciting in the Blender world. Definitely going to be having to test that out myself, as I see how it can be used and stuff like that. But yeah, so that is the gist of what we're doing today. You guys have submitted amazing shots that we're going to be taking a look at. Now, I purposely have not been looking at these shots just so it's as fresh as possible for this live stream. I feel like going into it blind is a little bit more fun, and so it's going to be super fun and exciting. But yeah, so a quick, just one more time, if you do want to join our amazing Discord, do we have any new people joining? We have one new person, 2 new people it looks like. So thank you guys for joining the Discord. That is, again, where you can find the Rating Your Visual Effects 4. That is the next live stream that we're going to be doing. Don't have a time or date for that, but that's just where you can submit yours. If you didn't make it on this round, that is totally fine. Do you think the 5090 will be overkill for Blender? No, for sure not. Overkill, there's no thing as overkill, right? Like, we're always looking to push down our render times more and more, and so I feel like never gonna get, at least for GPU, never gonna get overkill, especially for my work. Honestly, I'm looking to get the 5090 as well, just because my own work, I need to pump out this stuff as fast as possible for clients and stuff like that. So bro, I made backroom images, animes, not VFX, LOL. It's all good. You can post anything you want to be seen on the Discord. It is all good there. But anyways, that's enough of me blabbering. Let's go ahead and get into some of the submissions. As always, if you guys are in the chat, I'd love to hear from you. I might ask you some questions, stuff like that. It's going to be a real fun stream. I do want to say a huge thank you to everybody who submitted. I'm going to be as fair as possible. And again, these are my opinions, and so take them with a grain of salt. This is just some things that if I was hiring, that I would say to artists and stuff like that. And we're going to try to be doing stuff as objective as possible. I'll leave some of the more subjective stuff and let you guys know my subjective opinions, but as always, they are subjective when we get to that stuff. And so I don't want to say my, it's not like I am the supreme like being in terms of like my opinion and stuff like that, but How to make realistic clouds in Blender. It's all about volumetrics. Actually use a Cloudscapes Pro add-on inside of Blender, and so that really helps and stuff like that. So I will try to each one we do, I'll try to mention who did it, but with this new format, I might not be able to say the names and stuff like that. But if you want to give yourself a shout out in the comment section, that would be sick. If we get to yours. So yeah, we're just going to go down the list starting now. So Space Render, I believe, is by, let's see, Delphine Morris. So thank you for sending that in. We're going to go ahead and take a look at this. And I like doing it this way because now we can see the full quality of the visual effects. And so, dang, this is a kind of little bit of a shortcut and stuff. So a lot of denoising. Very cool. And I'm not going to be looking at sound, guys. I'm not a sound designer and stuff like that. And so I'll just be looking at the visuals. But this is pretty sick so far. Sweet. So very cool kind of cinematic piece and stuff like that. Really, really well done. You know, I'm sure it is a story or some tied into some things. It reminds me a lot of like Gravity, you know, kind of like the scary nature of it all. Now, I think the biggest thing is denoising. I think, yeah, let me make this better in the screen. Yes, I think denoising artifacts are a little bit like in some areas. Let's see. Yeah, especially like on these wings of this thing. Now I know there's a lot of like noise on the like film grain and stuff like that, but I think it's the denoising that's kind of getting me, because you're adding a grain over the after the fact. Now this is pretty cool. I think this is a 2D element. You can see it going a little bit over this wire right now, and so I maybe would look at that. You know, I know it's hard. Some of these wires are a little low poly too. It's a kind of a low poly scene. I like that you're trying to add some atmosphere into it and stuff, but this just feels like a 2D card. The kind of mask and stuff feels very kind of like 2D elementy and stuff. And so I know you can't do, you know, not everybody can do 3D volumetrics and stuff, but I just want to point that out. If you want to do pure realism and stuff like that, these are some things that kind of stand out, especially with the parallax. You know, it just feels like a 2D card and stuff. So that is looking good. Here's I believe this is like a Mixamo animation. Yeah, I find that they're okay for like game and design and stuff like that. I'm not a huge fan of Mixamo animations anymore. I feel like they're very kind of staticky and stuff like that. And so this is where you get into the talks about doing custom animators and stuff. And when I'm doing my own projects and stuff like that, if I ever need to do like an animation like you have here, I always tend to hire you know, animators if I do need to do a project like this, just because animation is one of those things. If you find a good animator, they are worth their weight in gold, basically. And so no fault there. I don't think anything is wrong with it. Just know that Mixamo animations, you can pretty much tell, like a lot of industry people can tell, just because of, especially in the feet area, you can tell it's a little choppy here, just ever so slightly choppy and stuff. The lighting's pretty sick though. I think the lighting is honestly the best thing of this. I really dig kind of the green vibe we have going on. But yeah, just some of the geometry and stuff like that is a little bit low poly here and there. And also the framing is a little weird in my opinion. I know you're following the rule of thirds and stuff like that, but it feels kind of framed in a weird way. Just that's more of a subjective thing for me. But yeah, I always think about your framing and what the framing tells the story, because it always directs it. You know, I try to, with all my stuff, I kind of use some of my DP lens for that stuff. Again, this is super subjective, but to me, I do love the camera movement. The camera movement is great and stuff like that, but kind of that last frame, I don't understand why it's like, you know, situated on the left side of, you know, you're kind of short-sighting the frame in that case. You have some I guess it's not Earth or whatever, so this is all sick. Again, denoising artifacts I think you're running into. I'm a little bit confused what happens here. Like, is this the space station that they're in? You know, this is more, I guess, the storytelling, like, subjective thing. I guess that's not the space station. I was going to say, is that just an asteroid or, you know, something like that? The particle effects, super sick, so that really helps. But yeah, I'm just a little bit confused of, like, what's happening, because it cuts from, like, this all the way to, like, this, right? And so evidently he was in there. I hate slow motion stuff like this that is choppy. You know, I don't know, this could be intentionally done, but you know, if it looks like this, it almost looks like a mistake, right? Like that's how I always feel, especially older movies did that because they wanted slow motion but didn't shoot it in a lower FPS. And so say if this animation was done in 30 FPS, then doing it in a 60 FPS and then slowing it down by half in the edit would actually be the better thing to do there. In my opinion, if you want to do slow motion, I'm guessing that's what this is, unless it's supposed to be like a disorientation thing. In that case, I don't know if that really sells too much or whatever. This is a cool shot. I have nothing to say about this other than the object's a little low poly, a little low textures and stuff like that. But you know, I think being this close to an object, it's gonna be really, really tough to get like photo realism. What I really appreciate that you're doing is that you're not overexposing everything in space. I find like a lot of people overexpose in space. I would maybe like to see a little bit more directionality of the light in space, you know, like if we're talking like, I guess this is really kind of subjective just because I don't see a light source in here other than the planet, right? And the planet isn't the light source. It's being hit by like a sun or like, you know, a star or something like that. And so if this lighting is very kind of very cool and very not bright enough, in my opinion, like the intensity would be a lot more, you know, basically almost be to the point of overexposing the kind of pants and stuff like that. I think that is the biggest thing that kind of tells me that this isn't, you know, photo real. I think space doesn't have like a lot of like, it's either white or black. I find in space, you either have these harsh white kind of bounces up here, and then in the shadows it's, you know, pretty much all black. Again, this is where in fantasy and sci-fi you can play around with it a little bit, but I do think if you would increase the intensity a little bit more, that would have been a little bit cooler. But again, that's so yeah, right here is kind of what I'm talking about. This is kind of more what I'm talking about, how you see the shadows and stuff literally make the entire like object black over here. I think this is a better lighting effect in space specifically, and so that's maybe what I would try to experiment with. I think this shot's really cool though. Yeah, another slow-mo that probably needs to be a little bit like that. It's a cool shot though to end it off with, and yeah, this I maybe would have liked to have seen this framed a little bit better. It's reading like if it was maybe moved down to like right here, you know, in frame. I think it's a little bit odd that it's like kind of so high up in the frame, you know. So if this guy was like moved maybe down here, maybe would have been a little bit better, but again, that is up to choice, and so nothing wrong with this last sequence. I think this is a really good shot. I like the, I guess it was intentional not to do stars or anything too. So I sometimes, you know, this is totally up to you, but I do feel like stars sometimes kind of like subtract from space shots, you know, especially like with a shot like this. Like this shot benefits so much from what you did exactly, which is just making the person kind of, you know, on a black void background. I think that helps a lot. And so really good shot, really good animation. Thanks so much for sending it in. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have about that. Again, this was more of a full CG shot, and so I think lighting is the big thing that I would say, like all CG shots, honestly. So yeah, thanks so much for sending that in. What is up, just open guy? Welcome to the stream. And Abstract is here. Welcome. Still not missing a stream. I love it. Okay, let's go on to the next Deserto. Another full CG. Recognize some. Oh my gosh, no freaking way. Oh my goodness. I should have guessed somebody was gonna. Who is this? We're gonna get to the bottom of this. No freaking way, you just rickrolled me. Oh my gosh, Miguel, come on now. What are you doing to me? Oh man. Great. Everybody's gonna be making fun of me in chat now. I can see it right now. Oh man. Dang, and now I have to like replay this over and over to break it down. And so, do we skip it? Do we skip it, chat? How can we send a link from here? Yeah, so if you want to join my Discord, you can join in the link in the description of this live stream. Unfortunately, we are done taking submissions for this live stream, but I have a rating your visual effects 4 right over here. And so just join the Discord and then join this over here. I have a link where you can submit. But oh man, bruh, everybody is I should have known. If anybody else recalls me, I am going to end the stream, guaranteed. So that's funny. Okay, let's actually break this down. Since I guess I have to now, right? I didn't like put any rules to say I'm not gonna do it if anybody rickrolls me or anything. So Discord is banned in Turkey. Oh man, so interesting. Well, then I can post the here. Let me see. Do I still have it? So here is it. I just posted a link on the YouTube chat, so maybe you can join there. I didn't know Discord was banned in Turkey. What do they have against Discord? But yeah, let's break this down. I already see a few of the assets. Where I gotta start doing this. There we go. So yeah, so this table is obviously from Polyhaven, and I'm sure that radio is too. I'm not even gonna play the music. Good thing I don't have the music on right now, because that would have been even worse. But yeah, I mean, I feel like this is a troll post from somebody, so thanks so much for that. I mean, of course, the lighting very basic, the materials, models, all that stuff super basic, but I'm sure you just posted this to get me, so I appreciate it. But if you want objective feedback, I guess, you know, higher quality models, the lighting's pretty flat. You know, I'm sure this is an HDRI mountain in the background, stuff like that. It does have some grain and stuff, so you're putting that in. But yeah, good cameraman back is what I want to say. But I'm not giving you any more time of day with that. How dare you? It's so funny. Okay, let's move on to the next Iron Man with sound. I'm not going to play the sound, but nice little vertical. So first visual effect shot. Let's see this. A nice little landing. That's a pretty good model that you got. Yeah, so no, really, really good. I think it's reading pretty well to me. I think your camera track is sliding around a little bit. You can see it kind of jittering and stuff like that, especially for a scene like this. Like, you have a lot of information on the ground that honestly, I don't know. Like, your scene shouldn't be sliding around this much with this much detail on the ground. The only other thing, I think the levels match really well to me. I think that's a big thing that beginning artists kind of don't follow, is like when I say levels, I mean like the light levels. Like the blacks look the exact same as the blacks over here. The whites look kind of the exact same as the whites over here and stuff like that. So I think you're doing a good job with that. The only other thing I might say is maybe have the shadow a little bit darker and a little bit more blue. You can see like right here, the fire hose, or not fire hose, water hose that's out here. It's a little bit darker of a kind of shadow and stuff. And so you want to try to match that as much as possible, especially over here with the shadow of the plants and stuff. I don't want to go into my shadow rant that I always go on every single stream, but just know whenever shadows like are being kind of cast from the sky, so they have direct like sight line from the blue sky, it's always going to be more of a blue hue. And so you can tell back here, all of these shadows have like a bluer hue and stuff to it, whereas like if you come back over here, the shadow underneath the awning and all that stuff, it's going to have not a blue hue. You can see it's more of like a yellowish reddish color, you know, especially under here it's more of a yellowish red. Those are more of the bounce light, not really the shadow, the ambient occlusion and stuff, I mean. But they just know that that's kind of how shadow inherently behaves, and since it is going to be kind of being illuminated by the blue sky, it is going to be a darker, more bluish hue like this over here. I think using reference in the shot is really, really important. In terms of everything else, I think everything else is looking pretty good. Let's check your motion blur. Now, denoising, I think it would greatly benefit if you added some more samples and stuff like that, because I am noticing a lot of shine on some of this, especially with metallic things. Just let it render out some more, put to higher sample counts. I know that's sometimes a tough ask and stuff, but just know I can see some of the denoising artifacts right there, and so it reads like it doesn't perfectly match into the scene. Other than that, he is standing on the hose, and so I maybe would I can maybe tell that you did some roto, maybe not. It's so hard to tell, but yeah, I would just maybe move them back, you know, a little bit, and not even have to deal with that, especially because you're having like a double shadow down here, and so that really wouldn't make sense. Also, it's a little bit too sharp for me. I can't really tell. I think the crack on the ground is reading like very in focus, right? Versus like, I think some of the details over there, with motion blur, but also with the defocus of the camera would actually kind of blur this a little bit. Once we get up to this or whatever, I can believe it a little bit more, just because it would be more in focus, since iPhones and cameras in general kind of autofocus, you know, pretty much all the time. And so yeah, those would be my big things. Really good job on the lighting, though. I think directionality is pretty good to me, but yeah, just the shadow and a little bit of the compositing, and just do some more samples when you render. So very, very nice shot. I think this is yeah, really good. You know, I think if you just get those that final 10% is always what makes or breaks a shot, and I feel like you're on that final 10% where you just need to nail some of the basic things like the shadow and stuff like that, and you have a perfectly photoreal shot. So really, really good there. We can move on to the next now. So let's see this. Okay, nice little faux advertising. Do we have a little Spider-Man Easter egg on the nice. I like that you added the Spider-Man holding the phone. That phone is massive, and so that is the biggest phone. It's almost an iPad at that point. But yeah, no, really good. Let's see. Do the reflections follow the scene? Kinda. So here's a problem I have with this shot, just from a concept phase. You got to know the product when you're starting off with, and so when I like get advertising gigs and stuff like that, I make sure I kind of understand what the product is. And so for example, I would get like a product like this. I know that label is super reflective, like literally almost a mirror finish, and this is also a conversation you can have with the client beforehand. I ask, you know, do you want it to be photoreal in terms of like, do you want scratches on it? Do you want some like fingerprints on it? Do you want it kind of scuffed up, all that stuff? Or do you want it like kind of more CG like, to where it's like perfectly shiny, no blemishes, nothing on it? And the reason I ask that is because then you have situations like this where you have a super reflective object, and now all of a sudden you have to deal with a ton of reflections, not only reflections, but also refractions. So as sun hits the mirror, it's going to bounce off and basically reflect on the floor here. So that's not what I'm seeing either, especially with the sun basically being from behind our camera, which we can actually check now if the directionality is the same. Okay, so the directionality is pretty similar. I would say maybe it needs to be a little bit longer. If you see kind of like this tree right here, it might need to be like a little bit longer. I wonder if you captured an HDRI though, like your own custom HDRI. That might be what I'm reading over here. Also, we're having a lot of like clipping issues right here. You can see in the reflection, we're having a lot of like black clipping. It almost looks like you took the HDRI and like contrasted it up a lot, you know, just to get with some all of the reflections and the color data, all that stuff or whatever. And so in a concept phase like this, the whole reason I bring up the clients and stuff like that is I would actually take a look at a shot like that that they would have beforehand and be like, okay, this is a little bit more complicated just because you have a reflective model, and also you have a very unique environment to where I need to really like take my time to make sure all the reflections make sense. You know, like in a case like this, if I was doing this for client work and it needed to be photoreal, I would actually like try to find a model of a tree that's like similar to some of the trees over here. I would place them off screen over here, so it'd be reflecting not just an HDRI. I feel like this is just an HDRI reflection, but actually giving like parallax in not only the actual shot but also the reflections too. I feel like a lot of people miss out on that as well. There is not only parallax in the actual shot, there's also parallax in the reflections as well. well. And so just keep that in mind. That's the big thing for me. That's kind of reading a little bit fake, especially as you kind of look here. All HRI is kind of stretched towards the bottom and top. And so that is totally what's going on over here. And also I'm not seeing like any of the reflections of, the gravel and stuff over here. Now, what I do appreciate is you did, I think, model out something up here to where it's like getting rid of some of the light over here. Let's see. Yeah, so you do have, I think, like some shadow of some of the leaves and stuff, and so that could be a gobo, that could be literally some geometry that's projecting on that, so really good there. Always thinking about what it interacts with in the real world. Now, real quickly, can I zoom in? I don't know how to zoom in here. We might take this in another program maybe, but you can see the noise down here in the shadow is really noisy, especially in the shadowy areas here. I feel like this is a common theme that we've been seeing today. Guys, spend some more time on your final renders. Like just, I find for me personally inside of like Blender, that really, if I'm doing a 1080p scene, then 512 is the minimum sample count I do. If you're doing like a 4K scene, then maybe you can do like 128, and so of course I'm coming over here, right? So like if I'm doing 1080p, 512 is the lowest, the absolute lowest I go. Anything lower will introduce those noise areas when you're doing 1080p footage. Even if you have denoise on, I still find in super reflective scenes, there's going to be a lot of noise, and so you have to do at least 512. Now if you're doing 4K or greater, then that's when 128 will be fine. And remember, that's just because 4K is 4 times the pixels of 1080p, and so just keep that in mind. That's kind of my adage as I do some stuff like that, and that I've never really struggled with noise artifacts. I know, of course, it does increase render time, but just know it is the sacrifice that we have to make to not run into some of these issues to make it look like CG. In terms of the animation, animation is great. It almost looks like custom, so maybe not. Maybe it's not or anything like that. But Spider-Man, Miles Morales, super popular, so really popular thing. I don't know, in the decision-making process, if like Chanel would want, Spider-Man to be on the thing, unless they partner with Spider-Man. This comes to more subjective of like what a brand would really ask for and stuff like that. But I do think it's important to start thinking about those things, because in doing your own work, you're going to be, judged based on not only the quality of the work, but also the thoughts and stuff that go behind it, right? And so if you have a good creative input, that's something that, a lot of employers will value as well. And so I just don't know if like these brands read very like makeup, very very, what's the word for it, like premium and stuff like that. You even have like a red carpet kind of theme going on here, which is kind of cool and stuff. And so I maybe would have spent a little bit more time on the ideation stage. Love the Spider-Man back here. That's a great addition and stuff. Also, I don't know what's going on over here. That could just be the compression or something, but I just want to point it out in case it is like a CG thing. Just make sure you kind of know what this is, because client would not they wouldn't accept that at all. So just want to point that out in case it is like an error in CG or anything, but it seems like it's a compression thing, if any, just because all this compressing is going on back there. So yeah, really good shot. Thanks for sending it my way. And yeah, I think you're getting there, and just maybe spend a little bit more time thinking about the reflections is the main thing I would say. When I add image from texture shading tab, texture is disabled. I want to move the image for texture because it's in the wrong position. Yeah, so you can add a texture coordinate mapping. No, that's usually how we mess around with textures, or you can just mess around with the UV. So all money effects. Hi guys, how can we join this community? I am so glad you asked. So if you want to join this community, you can join by subscribing or liking the channel, or we have an amazing Discord channel where you can totally join. We have some newcomers here today, so welcome. Love to have you guys here. And if you want to join in, unfortunately, our current list is full for the Rating Your Visual Effects 3 stream, but we will be hosting another Rating Your Visual Effects. And so here is the in the upcoming events folder, you can find the Rating Your Visual Effects 4, where you can submit your visual effect shots, where we'll go, rate your visual effects. And this time we're actually doing it to where you guys can upload your Blender file as well. Please make sure you make its own folder so I can, make sure everything reads in correctly and stuff like that. But we'll, do that in a later date. So welcome. Discord link is invalid. Interesting. Let me check that real quick. Can somebody check the Discord link for me just to make sure? Because I feel like somebody always says it in the stream and it ends up being fine. And so, oh, okay, sweet. So super awesome work. Love the job that you did. Also, the levels match pretty well. I think the lighting of Spider-Man matches super well to me. The motion blur is a little bit too much, I would say. So maybe tune that down, but that's a minor nitpick right there. Okay, sweet. Matt MCM, thanks for joining into the stream. One of my patrons, I believe. So thanks so much for being a patron. I can't wait to break this down. I love hearing from my Patreon members. So let's see it. If I can full screen this. Which I don't know. I'm using just VLC and it's being weird today. Let's see this. Really good camera work. Nice. I believe this is inspired by what's his name? Peter, is it France? And his head explosion tutorial and stuff. And so really nice work here. The camera is really nice. And so I feel like the nicer your camera, the nicer the visual effects has to be. As we saw in the last shot, it was a iPhone footage, and so heavy motion blur, all that stuff kind of hides the fact that it's lower quality stuff really well. And so that's something that visual effects artists love. Motion blur is great. In this, the camera is so good that some of the imperfections kind of stand out more, right? As you can see, you can't get a shot like this on iPhone, which is great. This is more film level quality and stuff like that. Here, I would have this seems like a 2D element on the guy's face instead of interacting with all the curves of the face, it rotating this way on his cheek, and then when it's on his nose, it curls up his nose, right? It's more just a standard as it goes from this area of his nose from here to this area of the nose, I want to see the dot maybe curve or something, that's maybe a little bit of a distortion and stuff like that, but I think that makes an effect like that. In terms of the actual explosion of the head, very graphic, sorry YouTube. But yeah, no, I think it's a very good start. I love the blood. Is that an asset or is that a sim? I would guess it's an asset, but I could be wrong. If it's a sim, it's a really good sim. Really good in the terms of it being a good sim. I have some problems with it in terms of compositing and lighting and all this stuff or whatever. I think my biggest thing is everything reads a little bit too sharp, so if you see, it's a very shallow depth of field, right? You can see if I go before his head explodes, you can see this part is very in focus, but if you kind of look at parts that are further away from the camera, so the back of his hoodie, even his ear and stuff, that's already starting to fall out of focus. And so when you have to keep that in mind, because your CG has to match as well. So parts up here, you can see the difference in focus levels are way different. Over here, good example is just any high detail area. So you can see down here some of the strings of his jacket or whatever is kind of out of focus, whereas this is perfectly in focus. I don't even know if there's any defocus on it at all, but in a case like this with such shallow depth of field, you actually want to do your focus in CG, whether it being doing a vector pass or whatever there, or I guess it wouldn't be a vector pass, but a depth pass or anything like that, just because yeah, not having any depth of field here is bad, but also you don't want just a depth of field node, just because that would do it uniformly over the entire image. And so either doing a depth mask to do it in compositing, or just straight up baking in the defocus in the CG pass, whatever you kind of choose there, it'd be much better than this. Also, the lighting is reading not really too accurate to me. I think it's hard to do with a lot of like specular stuff like that. I think the transition is pretty good though. You know, yeah, like there's no popping, you know, so I think the transition's actually really, really good. So I enjoy that. Of course, you know, I hate to break it to you, but all this other stuff is like pretty good, like in terms of quality and stuff like that. It's not like super photoreal and stuff, but the main focus of the shot for some reason is the lowest polygon object. You know, I think if you had a better, you know, CG skull or something like that, and I can't really give you the benefit of the doubt because I've worked with, and I know there are a ton of skull assets out there, and so I would have liked to have seen a more high poly skull object, especially because all of this other stuff is more, you know, kind of in the mid to, you know, lower high in terms of level of detail, and the skull is kind of reading like video gaming and stuff like that. And so I'd maybe look for a better asset there. Also, I would say the levels aren't really matching for me a lot. This one's tough, but I think the blacks are too black. I would turn down the saturation a little bit. You can see the saturation of this red is much higher than the saturation of like the red of his coat, for example. So I'd maybe turn that down a little bit. And yeah, those are my big things here, but really cool shot. I even love the hair physics that you have going on over there, you know, super cool. But yeah, no, those are my main things. I don't love the blood assets that are, you know, supposedly on the lens or anything like that. I always find they look cheap, and you don't really see many Hollywood visual effects shots use those anymore. So I'd maybe think about getting rid of those, especially because they read as non-intentional, and then also instead of it being out of focus looking, it looks more like low resolution, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'd maybe you know, think about getting rid of some of those assets and stuff like that. But super cool shot. I love this asset. You know, yeah, if this asset's a simulation, you did a really amazing job. Again, I just think depth of field is killing you here. I would really add some depth of field and see where it lands there, but really cool shot. And thanks again to MCM for sending this in, a long time Patreon, so I really appreciate it. And yeah, let's move on to the next vid, final two. What a name. So we have another kind of faux advertising. Let's go back and see the opening. Okay, so some cameras and stuff. Is that a light? On the other hand, okay, some roto. Okay, that was an interesting transition. We'll have to go back to that to see. Sweet. Okay, so a lot going on here, so really cool. I think if I was tackling this from a brand point of view, I think the effect comes on a little too late. You know, you got to really catch the eye of whoever is scrolling, because those first even 1 second is really going to be super important to catch people's eye on this stuff. And so it opening and kind of slowly coming out and then slowly putting it back, that happens, you know, by 4 seconds. That almost needs to happen within the first. So I would maybe go back to the drawing board and have it pop out, come closer to camera really fast, you know, grab the attention, and maybe stay there for a little bit. It kind of like comes out and then comes back very fast and stuff. Again, very subjective, but of course that is kind of some things that we want to look to when doing some shots like this, especially if you do want to go into this industry. Let's see, some of the stuff is reading kind of denoisy-y, you know, it kind of reads very soft looking, if that makes sense, but it could be a variety of reasons. The roto and stuff of the building is really cool. I think it adds some interaction to it. Now the animation's very kind of like CGE or CG, meaning like it's not based in realism, you know, so there are kind of many different aspects you can go and take a shot like this. I prefer the heavy realistic approach, and so, you know, purely just speaking from the animation lens, like the helicopter, if it's going forward, it'll need to be tilted further down, you know, and then if it's going backwards, it would need to actually tilt back. If it's going downwards, it would need to like lower and, you know, have weight to it, right? It feels very floaty, if that makes sense. And I know it's a helicopter, so it should float in the air, but you know, like realism, it would be like kind of interacting more with the physics of the world. Now this transition was a little weird to me. Let's see. Yeah, there's like some glitchiness happening with this transition. I don't really understand why. Yeah, so I'll maybe take a look at that transition again. I'm just not understanding how the physics of it all, of how it like opens and stuff, because I think you do a good job of this transition. Like, you know, it doesn't make perfect total sense, you know, but we kind of know it's like you know, the building is opening up, and so there's some like belief that we can, you know, form here, but this one just seems like a glitch, you know, and so that's never a good sign when you do stuff like that. And so in my opinion, if you wanted to avoid that stuff, I would have maybe even not have had that at all and just have this just come out of you, right? Like, you know, this calls attention to it being CG versus like if you had it kind of like poof into existence, you know, that's a more creative approach. It's more surrealistic versus like this, it's kind of just phasing in and it looks like a glitch, right? And so that's always what we try to want to avoid. Even when you're trying to do surrealistic shots like this, like it'd be much better if it just kind of poofs into existence and then flops down, maybe more animated like, right? Because then you could add particle effects, all that kind of stuff, and it make it look intentional, because you never want something that is intentional to look unintentional, if that makes sense. It's kind of a big no-no, but really good shot. I think lighting is doing pretty good. You know, lighting a shot like this is kind of tough. The animation of the thing come down is really nice, and yeah, so really good shot. So yeah, I mean, other than some of the stuff I've already said, yeah, I'm a little bit confused what this is. I guess it's a light of some sort. And also, I think another big thing, if this was for an actual company, that makes total sense, but without any context of like the banner and stuff like that, one thing I also try to push with clients is like making people know. There's also some like glitchy stuff up here, making people know what the brand is without having to say any words, right? And so for me, just showing this stuff, I'm already thinking it's a like photography brand and stuff like that, because they have lights, they have camera, iPhone, all that stuff. And then when you show at the very end, it seems like a marketing agency, so that's good, but it's like, you know, it's tough. So I think that maybe it's not as bad as I thought, but like yeah, no, I'll just leave that. I think that comes to personal preference. And you're probably contracted by these guys, right? And so sometimes we're like kind of like we're limited based on what we can do. But very nice shot. I think, yeah, those are all my notes on that. So thanks for submitting that, and you're in the stream. So thank you so much. Hopefully I didn't tear it to shreds as much as I might have. I don't know. 2-chair float. Let's go on to that one. Okay, so we got a little chair going around. Whoa. Super sick. Okay, let's break this down. So a little chair, I guess it's going around the water. Now, the water stuff is actually pretty well done. I think the only thing that's killing it for me, guys, you guys are killing me today with this, is your denoising. I don't know. Maybe I should make like a denoising guide or something like that. Like denoising is like a top priority, you know, like when you're submitting, you know, maybe this is a preview version and stuff like that, but like this water is amazing. Like the fact that you were able to, you know, interact the water with the chair and stuff like that, that's great. But you have all this denoising artifacting and stuff going on down here, and so that totally brings me away from it being real. You know, as soon as I see denoising, I'm like, you know, this is fake. And so you gotta denoise correctly, you know, and all that is literally just, instead of it rendering, you know, maybe 4 or 5 hours, just setting it up to render overnight. You know, I find there's little excuse for it nowadays with computers. I used to have a 2-core CPU laptop. I would render for like 24 hours to get out the noise and make it look good and stuff like that, you know? And so I only say this just because I see it far too much online, and it's kind of a pet peeve of mine. So so let's check out this. I'm not a huge fan of the water effect that's coming out. I think it's just an asset though, so it's kind of hard to get looking well. But also, I don't know if this, I'm guessing the blur here is because it didn't look too good without it blurred. Or maybe it's baked into the footage and you gotta match it. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of it, because as soon as you see this, you kind of know it's like fake and stuff like that. Anyway, we have some double shadows and some sliding of the camera track going down here. So you can see here's a good kind of representation of what the shadow should look like. And this, unfortunately, is a little bit too dark of a shadow for me. So I would it looks like you're maybe doing the shadow as a render layer, but you should be doing a shadow as kind of a color correction mask, if you will. Just because the shadows aren't really matching for me. They need to be closer to like stuff like this right here. But lighting is fine. I don't know why, but it feels, I think it's just the camera track that's throwing me off here. It almost feels like this is like a 2D element right now. You know, once it lands, it turns into like a 2D element. And I'm pretty sure that's camera tracking. But yeah, no, those would be my biggest things. I think the lighting direction and intensity and levels are fine. I literally think it's just, the shadow and you can't have sliding like that. But really good job on the water physics. Like if you had the water physics and got out the denoise stuff over here, would have been really good, I think. And just unfortunately not getting a fully denoised image first kind of breaks that immersion for me, but really good work. So nice. We'll move on to the next animal. Oh, we got a little breakdown too. I love when you guys send breakdowns. So if you guys want to submit yours with some breakdowns, I'd love to see it. So I'm guessing these are some particles inside a Blender, because I think they have like a, I'm trying to remember what it is called inside a Blender, but really cool work. Again, the denoising is killing you guys. Denoise and the thing, maybe it's compression. Let me know if you guys think it's compression as well, even though I deal with the denoising all the time, and this is kind of reading like denoised artifacts to me. I'm gonna stop saying denoise, because I feel like that is the buzzword for this stream. But I just want to call it out, because it is a, you know, if you're going to submit something for client stuff and you have it denoise, that's an instant kind of like red flag, like get this guy out of here, you know? So I do want to bring that up, because I don't want you guys to run into that with clients. You know, running into that with me is fine, but with clients, it's a big no-no. Okay, so yeah, no, just insect sim, super sick. I don't really have much to say, you know. I think it's hard to tell, but just making sure their legs are moving and stuff, which it looks like they are, I think, is pretty good. I would maybe, okay, never mind. I was gonna say maybe make some of them smaller and some bigger, and maybe also play around with some more randomness in terms of like the actual material of the roaches and stuff. You know, there are some ways to add some randomness to that as well. But yeah, no, other than that, really good job. The only other thing I would say is if we're this close to the camera, you know, obviously I can tell that this is a 2D texture rather than 3D, just because, you know, it's reading very flat, right? Like the lighting is not helping a lot. Like this is reading flat versus like this should be more. And you know, there are lots of ways to cheat it, but if we're this close to the camera, why not just go ahead and actually displace the material as well? Displace the geometry as well. But if we're just looking at it from a simulation point of view, it's super sick. So very good job. Actually, it looks like the camera's like moving down here. Well, I guess you added fake camera, so I'm guessing this is fully CG. I was gonna say maybe it's like not fully CG, but I don't know. On beach. A ton of chromatic aberration. Okay, really cool effects. Yeah, the chromatic aberration, you got to tone that way, way down. So we talk about this sometimes on the streams, but I have like a classification. Maybe I need to make a video about it because it is like not bad or whatever, but it is like a telltale sign that somebody is a little bit more of a beginner in terms of either their art, compositing, whatever. So a lot of chromatic aberration, a lot of bloom, a lot of glow, a lot of lens distortion, all that kind of stuff or whatever that muddies the frame. Beginners love that stuff. This almost looks like Blender's, what is it called? Lens distortion node, right? With the fallout and stuff. And keep in mind, like, you can have this much chromatic aberration, all that stuff, but it's a very, very harsh stylistic choice. So just keep that in mind. It is kind of a telltale sign that somebody is more of a beginner if they add a ton of this stuff because they're trying to hide something, But yeah, Sim, really, really good. Love the direction of it. It might be a little bit too sharp. It's hard to tell with everything kind of so crazy. But honestly, I think it's fine. Now you are running into a little bit of like a holdout situation here with the CG tower or whatever. So you want to watch out with stuff like that. These shots are good though. Like these shots, I don't see any of the holdout stuff that we were running into before. And then this shot, way too motion blurry, I think, and way too out of focus. It just kind of doesn't blend. But everything else is pretty well done. Levels match pretty well. Lighting, I can maybe, of course, the double shadow, but that's tough to get rid of in a timely manner. I'm struggling with the lighting a little bit. I maybe want a little bit more intense and a little bit more directionality. Seems a little bit too large. It seems like an HDRI lighting, and sometimes those can like be larger light sources, because this is very sharp, not only sharp shadows and stuff, but like, this whole side of the car should be basically this dark, and it's really not, it's very blue for some reason, and stuff like that. And so, yeah, maybe the lighting there could be a little bit tweaked. But yeah, no, really cool shot, really cool, thing is this. See, it's a bird CG. We have CG bird. I don't know. If it is CG, it's really good. No, it's not CG. Yeah, no, really good kind of direction of the shot. Something weird is happening here. I don't really understand what that would be, but just watch out there. But yeah, no. Other than that, I think pretty good. Ooh, a lot of roto. Oh, you even got the wires, as much as you could, at least. Yeah, no, really sick. You did a good job kind of like modeling out all this stuff. I noticed that you even got like the little stuff over here. This is a tough, yeah, this is a tough shot to tackle, especially with you rotoing out the leaves and everything. Can we give a hand to this guy for roto? Amazing roto job. So really, really nice there, because this is an annoying thing to roto. Of course, if we're nitpicking it, there are a few things that you kind of get rid of, some of these wires up here and stuff like that. But for a quick dirty roto job, not bad. Some of these wires as well down here. Now we are running to some weird shadow stuff. I think you already know of. The shadow is way too dark for all of this other stuff. You can see the shadow level is like black basically over here versus like over here, and then especially like the tree right here, it's kind of a more muted bluer kind of hue and stuff like that. And so just keep that in mind. It seems like this one is probably you rendered out the shadow and just put it on the same beauty pass and stuff as the CG, which is fine for beginner work. But just know to take it up to the next level, we're really looking to break the shadow into its own layer so that we can separately affect it and get more interesting kind of shadow over here. Even though this right here seems like Oh, is this palm tree CG? That's why the roto's so good. Yeah. Ah, okay. Hey, I love that stuff. You know, like the fact that I thought it was roto and it was realistic just shows that the lighting and that effect works pretty well. So I think also just the thought to even do something like that, I think that's really well done. Is it CG? Because I was just saying about the shadow over here, but this shadow is fine to me. Where are the actual shadows in the so there's this tree over here. Yeah, so that's interesting. Like, did you remove? I wonder, because I'm reading like some things over here. The shadow of the, it kind of looks a little weird. So I almost wonder if it's you painted out the tree to add a CG tree in it because you didn't want to, I don't know. Too late to find out it was in another sequence from Imogen. Okay, so you did use Imogen. That was really cool. No, Imogen's great at stuff like that. So love that you did that. But no, amazing work. Yeah, I would just that thing about the chromatic aberration. I'm telling you, I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that. That is like if somebody saw something like that and you're like trying to get hired to it and stuff like that, they would immediately kind of red flag in their head, be like, you know, hey, you know, there's either something he's trying to hide or, you know, it's just a big beginner mistake. Not mistake, but like I even did it. I did a lot of chromatic aberration and a lot of bloom in my original work, you know, because it made it look better, but also more muddy. You know, you don't want to make stuff look muddy. So yeah, so if oh, actually, we have a detail on here. Yeah, let's open this up in, I'm having fun. Let's open this up in Nuke, just so I can zoom in. Because I wanna break down the palm tree. Because I do think I have cracked the code on the palm tree. So... because I think this, like, yeah, we cracked it. So yeah, so you have a real palm tree here, because you can see this part of the palm tree goes away when the CG comes. But just because this is a brilliant approach, like honestly, this is something I would do. And I told clients before about one way, if you have like a branch or something like this in front of it, it's nearly impossible to roto out cleanly, especially because this is probably 1080p footage. And so what you did was you put a palm tree, a CG palm tree there, so that it still looks like unless I was nitpicking the shot, I would not have been able to tell. So really, really good job there. The reason that's so important, guys, and I'm crazy about this shot now. The reason that's so important is because now that not only affects the rotoscoping and stuff, now you don't have to rotoscope, that gives you perfect reference for how the lighting should work, perfect reference for if your camera track is good, perfect reference for a lot of stuff. And so I even see that you lined it up here. The telltale sign, by the way, of why I kind of figured out it was CG, obviously, is because the shadow down here is kind of like you know, on the floor right here, but also there's like a harsh line right here. So my theory is that this is actually the real, or is it? It might not be the real. It might be the CG shadow as well on top of the real shadow. So maybe it's not, but yeah, really good job. This is a huge like kind of tip you can do is if you don't want to roto out something, maybe just make it CG. I have a perfect example actually. Let's just, because this happens all the time in the industry. I can show you one of the freelance projects I did. Let's see. It was there. Yeah, so this was a company and it was... yeah, let's just... So this is a company I needed to, this was a long time ago. This was a company and they wanted to do a banner across the world. And so we had like 5 or 6 different locations that we wanted to do. And getting these shadows to work on the Chrysler Redeemer was the most infuriating thing ever. And so by the end of it, you can see the original. I think I started doing it. Yeah. So here's the original. you know, obviously this is a preview version, and so all this visual effects is just temporary and stuff like that. But as you can see, the original, I was having a lot of difficulty with the shadow. It was just super, super hard. And so instead of like having to fix all the areas like that shadow doesn't make sense, I literally went back and without even telling the people, the client, I literally just replaced the CG statue, you know, and that looks photo, you know, like, and so there's so many things that you can do in order to kind of cheat stuff like that. And so huge applause to you for problem solving that out, because that is how a visual effects artist works, which is why I'm a little bit disappointed that you didn't take that same care and attention to the shadows, because in my opinion that's kind of the bigger of the two things in the shot. But you know, I think that's what I would recommend. So awesome. We'll move on. I'll keep Nuke open if we ever need to like kind of zoom back into the thing. Man hits rock bottom. Nice. Some fun animation here. It just phases into the wall again. Cool. So number one, the biggest thing that kind of stands out to me, this guy is massive, right? Or am I reading too much into this? So right here, he's bending his knees, right? Here's a kind of countertop or whatever. This guy has got to be at least like 7 or 8 feet tall. So I think the scale is off. Also, he's floating off the ground when he gets hit here. The denoising again rears its head with some of these kind of rocks and stuff down here. The animation is cool. I wish there was like a hole left here where the kind of rock came out of it. That would be kind of a cool little detail and stuff. Some of the rocks face through the ground, and so that's with your collision, you're setting it to like not the mesh bounds or whatever, if you're doing like a rigid body and stuff like that. In terms of lighting and stuff, it's fine. You know, I think this is nighttime scenes like this are kind of a little tough to do, just because these lights are very tough to like nail super accurately, you know. And so I think it serves its purpose, but I wouldn't say it's like photoreal matched and stuff. I would have liked to seen some like subdivision surface here, so we don't have those harsh edges and stuff. But other than that, I think it's a fine shot, low poly, very inoffensive, kind of fun shot and stuff. And so yeah, those would be my suggestions if you want to make it like photoreal, like us visual effects artists always do. But yeah, really nice shot. Thanks for sending it in. And that would be pretty much it. Mushy Lady, another MCM. You love I'm trying to remember, you were the same, you did the mushroom head in the first one of the first live streams as well. Again with the denoise, you guys gotta denoise your things. Or is that, no, it's denoise. Yeah, just denoise it. Unless it's noise, I can't tell for certain, but it reads as denoising, or yeah, denoising artifacts. Very cool. The lighting is much better than your first attempt. I remember that was my big thing about the first one. The kind of face ceiling effect is really cool. I think really adds to the shot. And I don't see it moving, so I think you're good there. Yeah, I think the tracking of like the face not moving and stuff like that is pretty good. Does it stretch at all either? Yeah, if you have like so if she's like supposed to be like talking, you know, with her like mouth closed up, I want to maybe see like a little bit more like of it stretching. I know the way to do it inside of Nuke is using the smart vector kind of method, but I don't know any other way in like After Effects or anything like that. The asset's really good. Like honestly, I'm trying to remember what asset pack this was from, but this is a great asset. Really fits the theme. I maybe would have liked to seen a little bit less shading here. Also, I don't know if this is shading up here as well. It kind of reads as like, I don't know, dirty forehead and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I would maybe make it a little bit darker, or not darker, a little bit lighter here, and maybe a little bit less in general, you know, because it's reading as kind of fake ambient occlusion rather than real ambient occlusion, if that makes sense. Literally just the tiniest of things. And so there we go. And it's sliding a little bit up here, but you know, it's within, you know, you can maybe cheat this one up here a little bit like that. So Wilson Media, my breakdown to Manhit. It was my first time trying to complete a visual effects shot. Yeah, no, I mean, if it's your first visual effects shot, I think it's really, really good. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just, again, matching lighting. Like lighting, I always tell like my students and stuff, lighting is the most important thing for visual effects to make it seem real. And so once you can master lighting and then compositing, you're golden. And so if this is your first visual effects shot, this was better than any of my first visual effects shots. And so really, really nice work there. Super excited to see what you come up with next. But yeah, that's all I would say about this shot. MCM, really nice shot. Also some CG, I'm guessing leaves going over it, not too bad. They seem a little bit like 2D planey, you know, but it adds something to the shot, so I don't mind it. You just want to make sure it's not like, I guess, distracting, and also it matches with the camera, which I feel like it does. So yeah. Sweet. And then my first VFX ever, Fun Cake. There we go. Let's see. I love checking out your guys' first visual effects. Yeah, so when I'm looking at first visual effects, I'm not going to be as critical, just because I think getting your first kind of step in the door is so important. But yeah, no, I mean, what I will say is car visual effects are some of the hardest visual effects that you can do in general. And so starting off with it, I don't know if I would recommend just from a learning experience perspective. Again, just because there are so many things to take into account for reflections, shadows, you know, denoising. They're very hard renders to get to actually render, because they take forever to render into the scene. And so yeah, so maybe tackle some simpler stuff to begin off with. The camera tracking is a little bit off. You can tell because it kind of jitters around some areas. It totally makes sense, your first render. But I remember the very first thing I made sure to really focus on is camera tracking, making sure my camera tracking looked like it stuck as much as possible. And so that may be where I would kind of begin with, like, you can't have like shots like this kind of jump around. And I almost wonder if it is because there's this shadow that kind of moves by of like a bird or something. And it kind of looks like as soon as it goes up on this wall, that's kind of where it jitters. So just maybe look around that area to see if any of your trackers kind of get caught in that area. And if so, you want to make sure it doesn't do that, and either delete the tracker or just stop it tracking before it actually gets caught and stuff like that. So that's maybe what I would recommend. The blacks are way too black. You can kind of see up here, everything's kind of black. This is kind of like telltale iPhone footage sign. Blacks are like super black, whites are like super white and stuff like that. So that's fine. It's the biggest thing I would say is reflections. Like you can even see back here, there's like a white reflection. Like, where is that motivation coming from? There's nothing kind of white, that white over here that'd be reflecting from. That's probably because you had a white plane on the ground acting as a shadow catcher. And so these are some of the reasons why I don't really recommend car visual effects as your first visual effects, just because you run into situations like this where if a beginner comes here and they see a shot like this and like, why does this not look realistic? What am I doing wrong? They might think it's something to do with the lighting of the shot, for instance, where it's not really the lighting. It somewhat is to do with the lighting of the shot, but mostly it's to do with the reflection of the shot, and that as a beginner might lead to some, you know, confusing conclusions and stuff like that. I just think it's a very complicated shot that honestly, until you're like comfortable, you're never gonna really get to look photo real, you know. So that'd be my main thing. It's a low poly car as well, and so you're only as good as the model and textures allow, right? And so Meaning, like, if you have a bad asset, you can only polish a turret as much as possible, right? But it's still a turret at the end of the day. Not saying that this is like that, but just that's how we take a look at assets, right? There's not much we can do if we have a bad asset, and keep that in mind as we looked at some of the other shots. One bad asset can make the entire thing look low quality and stuff like that. So just keep that in mind as well. But for your first visual effects shot, I think it's really good. I would maybe just focus on one step at a time, like camera tracking, just really focus on camera tracking and stuff like that. And then next, maybe go to lighting. Next, maybe go to, who knows, compositing, stuff like that. Tackling things once at a time and getting really good at one thing at a time is how I found that I succeeded the most in learning visual effects. And so that's maybe what I would recommend here, but really good job as your first time visual effects. Even though it is a super hard thing to do car visual effects and stuff like that, I still do think this is pretty good for your first visual effects shot. The fact that it is such a high scope of a shot and you're able to get something that looks this decent, I would say is a huge win for you. And so really keep trying at it. The lack of reflections is the big thing I would have to say. And so really focus on those reflections, and this would be a 10 times better shot. So really good work there. Okay, reaching the last things quickly. I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching this stream. I love doing these streams. If you guys are curious, we are going to be doing a 4th stream. If you want to join the Discord and the link in the description below, we're going to be rating your visual effects 4. And so just pop on over there, go to the link I have provided, and go ahead and send your visual effects shot my way. I would love to check out some of your guys' work. So definitely make sure to go do that, and we can move on to the next. Here we go. So another faux advertising. We got some cool dress physics and stuff. This is kind of like a classic, kind of like every clothing brand kind of wants to do something like this. Would be cool. Sweet. So a lot of good roto work. I can tell that you're actually doing some of the buildings as models instead of CG. So that's really, really good. Adding that not only the ability to have it interact with the cloth, but also some things like reflections and ambient occlusion and shadow and all that stuff. Super, super important to put as well. And so that's super cool. The animation is super nice. Let's see the helicopter. Helicopter's massive. That is the biggest helicopter I've ever seen in my entire life. And so obviously for a shot like this, we can make believe some things and stuff, but just know that when you do something like this, it has to be intentional. And so I think it works for this shot because honestly, this is a surrealistic shot anyway, and the helicopter being bigger would probably be more interesting for the actual Instagram and stuff like that. And so that makes total sense. Let's see, it flies. Yeah, the dress is perfect. I don't have any critiques or criticism of that. I think literally I think I don't have anything for that. It's hard to see without like it being the actual dress, because I think the actual dress would be a little bit more see-through, but again, that's hard to tell because I don't know the actual dress and stuff like that. But all that is good up here. Now some things I would maybe work on that I've noticed. First of all, at the very end, you can see some of the shadow of this wall here kind of go over some of the people, and so I'd maybe that would be like, maybe not a lot of people would notice that, but this is really when I'm like nitpicking and breaking it down. If I was like a client or hiring anybody and stuff like that, this is kind of the process I would do here. So yeah, we can't have that harsh line of shadow, and that would just be a simple mask and stuff. So it wouldn't be too hard to actually fix. I do love the fact that you're doing like some more like set dressing of the city and stuff like that. These are kind of like subconscious things that happen. Not that I honestly don't think a lot of people would even notice this is CG or anything down here, but it's just these subconscious things that really add to the shot, which I really appreciate. For some reason, we are dealing with a lot of denoise artifacts in the background of this one, and so I'd maybe go back to the drawing board if you did these as separate passes, and maybe render this section out here specifically as a higher sample count. That's why breaking it up into separate passes sometimes is beneficial in render time as well, because then we can get out some of these artifacts and make it look a little bit nicer like that. Also, in some
some of these objects down here, it slides a little bit around. Again, the focus is the dress, and so that is perfect. But some of these other things, like if we kind of look up here as well, you can see it jitters around a ton. And so that's just motion tracking. And this seems like an iPhone footage. And so making sure that you know, think about lens distortion, stuff like that, you know, huge stuff. Now, one detail I just saw that I absolutely love, amazing work there. Check the phones, guys. Like these are the simple details that will get you hired on jobs. Like if we take a look right here on their phones, like you can see the dress actually move on the phones. So can we just give you know, a clap for that, because like small details like that, guys, insane work, insane level of detail. People will notice that if you are trying to get hired and stuff like that. So really good job here. Next question I have, do we have reflections on the cars? We do not. Honestly, I don't think you need them. I've always been you know, those small details and stuff like that, because yeah, we could see reflections here and on the cars back here and stuff, all that stuff or whatever. If you had a million years to do a shot like this, of course, you know, you could do it and all this stuff or whatever. But yeah, I would maybe not care about that, right? Is there like kind of a glitch at the very end as well? Yeah, there's like a little one frame glitch. You're probably aware of it. Also, there are other helicopters in the back here and here. Those are a little bit too defocused, and so I would not defocus them like you did. So yeah, because you can see like this helicopter is like reading like it should be in line like with this building, and this building is like pretty in focus compared to this. Like it needs to probably be half as defocused as it is. But yeah, everything is matching. You're doing an amazing job with lighting, some of the CG elements here. And yeah, I love this shot. This shot's sick. Let's see, Just Open Guy, you're here. Oh, sick. Thank you for the feedback. Man, are you on the Discord? Well, I guess you have to be to submit this or whatever. Reach out to me, because I want to connect. I want to see some of your other work, because I might be having some work here soon that you know, I might be talking to you about. But amazing work, man. If you're open to it, if you do freelance or whatever, I'd love to see your other work, to see about working together in the future. That'd be sick. But yeah, smart level, like literally I'm telling you guys, like small level details like this, the fact that I picked up on it, everybody else who's going to be looking at this stuff are going to pick on it up on it as well. And so keep that in mind. Don't neglect that kind of stuff. That stuff is what gets people hired. Even Just Open Guy, we'll see. But amazing work, man. Really sick. Cups, look at this. Really sick stuff. Really sick interactions. No, this is really well done. Especially because, you know, like for this stuff to work, the camera tracking has to be perfect. Not only the camera tracking, the physics, you know, the render, all that stuff. And so this is reading really well. I think the only thing to me that is really standing out about this is I don't know if those cups, with the way like how they would reflect and refract, are reading too realistic to me. Let me see if I can pinpoint exactly why. Yeah, I just don't know if I'm reading I think it's a material issue. I don't know if I'm reading the fogginess of the glass too well. It's not reading as much as like glass to me as like, I don't know, this is toughy. There's like just something slightly off about it. But yeah, you even modeled out the chair. I maybe think it might be to do a little bit with the maybe the depth of field. I don't know, that's a tough one. But overall, I think it's a really good shot. I think there are like small things here and there, obviously, that like if you're going to nitpick like this, kind of cutting into the table back here, you would probably need to fix the shadows are really subtle, but I think that is correct. For the most part. Yeah, and maybe like to see the shadows a little bit darker, you know? Just like ever so slightly darker. Just to match with like some of this other stuff back here. You know, like the purse. Yeah, so maybe just slightly darker. I know they're transparent and all that stuff. But yeah, maybe just a little bit darker to push it ever so slightly more. But honestly, that's nitpicking at that point. I think you did a really good job with it overall. Come on now. I'm trying to like pause on a certain moment. I think maybe... Yeah, the lighting back here, I think you need to add like a very directional light back here, because once it comes back here, yes, it does change a little bit, and this is me nitpicking, but like there's not a harsh shadow, there's not, you know, anything like there. Again, that's me nitpicking, but like for a shot this well done, it's kind of all I have to say. Yeah, really cool shot. Really dig it. Are the chairs CG? I don't think so. If they are, they're the best CG chairs ever. Yeah, so some masking or holdout issues over here. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you just modeled out the chairs or whatever and then placed them as colliders, which is really well done. I think we do lose some pieces like at the bottom. Yeah, like down here and stuff like that. But again, those stuff are so hard to like perfectly match, you know, unless you're spending like days on a shot like this, like you're not going to get out. We're having some weird kind of motion blur effects or something that might be from denoising or something. You know, like just the edges are noisy for some reason. So that might be the motion blur. I can't really tell there. But really good shot. Again, also the other thing I want to say, guys, is literally on my screen, I wish I could show it right now, but my screen is like massive and it's 4K. And so the like, I say that because whatever like visual effects shot that you're wanting to do, blow it up as big as possible on the biggest screen that you have. It doesn't have to necessarily be 4K, but 4K does really help see the minute details. The reason being, the bigger you blow it up, the bigger the imperfections, you know, like pop out at you, right? And you got to think, like, if you're doing like you know, like my visual effects for like feature film work that I've done and stuff, I know those shots are going to be blown up on a theater, right? And so those shots are going to be massive, and so any like small little imperfection that I have is going to be like 1 foot on the screen, and so I gotta make sure that that stuff is like non-existent. And so I only say that is because like breaking it down with a larger screen, whether it's on your TV or if you have a projector or anything like that, hugely beneficial. I don't feel like many people talk about that, but it is. Like, the bigger you can blow it up on your screen, the more you will find the imperfections and how you can solve for them. And so that's why I think monitors and screens are one of the biggest benefits as a visual effects artist you can invest into yourself. The bigger, the better. I have a 42-inch OLED screen, so the color accuracy is great. I can blow stuff up. I'm super big and stuff, so I don't miss pretty much any imperfections at that point. And I'm confident I can deliver it to clients and they can blow it up as big as they want it, even if it's on the, you know, Las Vegas Sphere or whatever. And it's going to be as perfect as possible. And so really good work, though. You guys love your food. Super sick. Ah, even fixes it. Super sick. I really love the concepts. Concepts like these are great. The fact that it like pulls it back in is pretty cool as well. That'd have to be a nightmare to roto all those people. So Good job rotoing all those people. I know how much hassle was would have been. I mean, just off the back, this is tough because they're so small in frame, and depending if it's like 1080p footage that you had, it'd be nearly impossible to not have artifacts in the roto. But it seems like the roto brush, which is a good first step, but I also go an extra step beyond just using the roto brush to actually refine it in a way that it's not going to be jittery and stuff. And I do feel like you're running into that a little bit. Again, this is going to be like seen on a phone, so there's a lot of stuff you can get away with. Yeah, the concept is great. The animation of it kind of going on. The only thing I would maybe have to say about the animation, for some reason, we're getting kind of like a blue rim light effect on some of the stuff up here. So that kind of throws off the effect for me a little bit. I don't know what that would be. It almost looks like you green screened it, or blue screened it or something, like I want this blue halo around because I feel like that would make the shot blend in so much better. So if you got rid of that kind of blue halo in between some of these threads and stuff like that, that would be super sick. Also, just from the concept, I maybe would have liked these kind of tentacles to shoot out and then it kind of explode this thing or whatever, just because right now it kind of like comes out of nowhere existence or whatever. So that's a little bit of a thing or whatever, but I could see it, not working for any myriad of reasons. But yeah, I mean, this is a cool effect. I would say let me think. Maybe the defocus is not matching perfectly. I think the defocus in levels, the material's a little bit too saturated for me. I'd maybe desaturate it a little bit. And then if you're wanting to saturate it, do it in color correction instead. That maybe be what I would say. Also, it feels like it's not tracked perfectly, like there's a little bit of sliding, which just throws off my brain ever so slightly, I know that's a tough thing to do, but yeah, these are things that like somebody would. Also, I hate to do this to you, but let's go. Oh, this is yours, open guy, right? Yeah. Oh, okay. So we have another one. So I hate to do this to you, but here is a unfortunate thing that happens. I might have a video coming out on it soon in Blender, but you see like some of these things out here. Wish I could. Yeah, do you see like some of this stuff up here or whatever? That unfortunately is due to Blender's alpha channel. There are some ways I've gotten around it before. You can even see it worse like down here and stuff like that. There are ways I gotten around it before, and it's literally just masking and doing all that stuff or whatever. I'm going to have to do a deep dive into this because it infuriates me beyond belief when stuff like this happens. Not from your end, but from Blender's end. Like, I don't know why this happens in Blender. I think it's due to denoising or something like that. And here, I guess I can also do this. Do you, what compositing software? Well, I guess you use After Effects, right? If I do a high pass filter, yeah, you can really see it up here. Minus the here, I'll denoise it just real quick. Also, learn Nuke. I'm telling you, you'd really benefit from learning Nuke, like more than anybody. I'll just do a quick one. Sorry, I'm just denoising it, just so we can tell. Yeah, exactly. Just to get some of that noise out. But yeah, you can see this is what I'm talking about. Check your alpha channel and you will exactly see what I'm talking about. They're like these tentacle things out here, and so that I've ran into in the past with clients, and I've gotten it out from brute force. But I'll have to do a deep dive to see why in the world the alpha channel sucks sometimes, because that is annoying. Sapphire for tracking, interesting. Sapphire. Use Sapphire? Or are you talking about Synthize? For tracking, do they have camera tracking add-on? Oh, okay. Yeah. So you meant yeah, I guess you meant the other one. Makes sense. But yeah, silhouette, or I'm getting stuff confused. Too many S programs. Why are there too many S programs? Synthesize. Synthesize is great for camera tracking. So in that case, let's go back to your thing. Where are you based out of, by the way? You can just say the country. I'm not trying to dox you or anything. But yeah, I think in this case, honestly, it might be due to, well, you know, obviously the tracking is off a little bit. You know, you can see it kind of shift here. But I think the bigger of the two things is that the shadow feels like it's disconnected. It feels like whatever is on that isn't like pressed up against it, right? It feels like it's like maybe a meter or two away from it because of the shadow. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like fully encasing it. So that could also lead to some of the perceived like tracking bugs and stuff like that. Yeah, because it's sliding over here too. I think this shot could use from a little bit more tracking help. Really good. I love the idea of it. Super good. Stuff like that. I think just I would like to see you retackle this shot if you want, and take some of my feedback. I want to see it without this blue ring. Whatever is causing that, it needs to die. But yeah, it might be due to the material of your actual like tower. Maybe the lighting's pretty good though. Lighting's pretty good. This I maybe would have liked to seen some more green bounce light up on here. I don't know what would be causing that. And also, please tell me you're separating the shadows from the CG. The Fresnel effect causing it. Yeah, lens changes on iPhone. Yeah, what I would highly recommend if you shoot your own footage, if this is your own footage, or if clients are going out and filming their own footage, I'll tell them all the time, do not use the default iPhone app. iPhone app will constantly adjust many things, including exposure, focus, you know, stabilization, all that kind of stuff. Stabilization you most of the time want to leave on, but I use an app, let me see what it's called. It starts with an F. Yeah, Filmic. It used to be called Filmic Pro. Then they went to a subscription model. But yeah, now it's subscription or whatever. But this app allows me to kind of like, I guess you can't really see it too much or whatever. It allows me to lock in the exposure, lock in the autofocus, all that kind of stuff, so that we don't deal with anything for camera tracking specifically, because camera tracking is so finicky, and most of the time these camera tracking software are built with DSLRs and film cameras in mind, and so we have to bully our iPhone cameras to act as those type of cameras. So just keep that in mind. That's what I do all the time if I film my own footage now with iPhone, and it really helps with that. But I mean, as I'm saying, I'm really nitpicking this, but like if I was a client and stuff like that, I would shoot this back to you, be like, hey, the bag is moving, right? Like we can't have the bag sliding around on the ground and stuff like that. But everything else I think is pretty solid. Yeah. Now you said it there. Client always wants some saturation, so I totally believe you there. Clients sometimes have some wild takes. So final thing, I know we've done a lot to this. The fun thing I want to say is all your CG looks like it's honestly unpre-molted. You know, like I don't know if it's necessarily that, but it looks like it, if that makes sense. Like there's this weird blue line here, the blue line we've shown up there, some blue kind of edge lighting here and stuff like that. Especially down here, you can see some like there's an edge of something. So I don't necessarily know exactly what would be causing that. I've never ran into an issue like that, but double check that, because it takes what would be a fantastic shot and kind of muddies it up a little bit, in my opinion. That's the biggest thing of this shot, I think, is just that outline is like, I don't know. But really good work with the CG and stuff like that. Is that geometry nose? Probably, I don't know. Super sick. Portal 2, Space Hunter. Love me some Portal. Oh, that's really cool. Super shaky camera, but it looks like the camera track is mwah. Now the lighting could use a little work. I think it's top-down lighting. Yeah, I think it's just a sun pointed down. So obviously, the CG is only as good as the lighting. I think the levels match perfectly. I don't think the levels are what's throwing me off. I think the light directionality, like, you know, for instance, there is a lamp in the corner, obviously. So I would have liked some more like side lighting from that lamp. There's a white light of some sort up here, but there's not really shadows that would be this strong. The only shadow of the real world we can see is like this cord down here. And even this cord, we don't see that it's like super, super strong and stuff like that. So I'd maybe go back to the drawing board there. But other than that, I think it's a pretty good shot. Motion blur matches. We're running into a little bit of like, I think that's like noise from it being in an enclosed space. So maybe bump up your light passes a little bit. That's what I would say. It seems like the light in here. Really good objects and materials though, like in the glass, kind of, you know, reflecting some of the light and stuff out here. Really good materials. Makes it feel very live and stuff. I just really don't like the top down lighting. You know, it feels CG and fake. Super cool. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I love that is Peabody, right? Never remember. I was always the short guy fan. I would always try to get the short guy when we played Portal 2. So much fun. But yeah, super sick. For some reason, we're not getting like any shadow or anything in here. Like when the arm comes in here, it kind of cuts off the shadow. So I guess that's done intentionally or something. I don't know. But yeah, I wouldn't do that. Inside sources, you rarely have this harsh of lighting, you know, unless it's like literally like the most bright direct light you've ever seen in your life. Interior lighting is most of the time very, very diffuse, unless it's like very close to an object, you know. So like if you put your hand closer to the object it's casting shadow on, it'll be a harsher shadow. But since like his arms and stuff are up here, his arms wouldn't be, it'd be more diffused down here. It might be sharper around his feet and stuff like that, but it'd be way more diffused out here. More similar to like in here, I think the shadow on the wall is pretty much the sharpest it gets inside, you know, unless you have like a spotlight on somebody. So hope that helps. Stormwave, welcome to the stream. But yeah, that's what I would say there. But really good shot. I'd like to just see more directionality of the lighting and more intent behind some of the shadows and lighting and stuff like that. Also, all the materials are pretty good. I would maybe change this. It's reading a little bit simple materials and stuff, you know. Either that or make it more reflective. I always find if it's like supposed to be like a coated paint of something, making it a little bit more reflective always kind of helps a little bit. So, close renders. We are on the final one. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the stream so far. I love doing these things. So much fun to see what my community is up to, seeing all the amazing work that is out there. So I really appreciate you guys sticking in and sending in your work so I could break it down. But yeah, let's get into this. So it seems like some images. Sweet. So I think we've seen this artist before. Do we have any idea? Can't remember who it is, but yeah, no, super unique style, super love it. So got some product renders and stuff here. Super sick. I remember you did something similar to this before, or maybe I'm trying to remember. Maybe I've seen this before, but anyway, super amazing work as ever. Just keep in mind when you do stuff like this, you gotta watch out, because certain people will be turned off by this stuff. Just from the lights flashing so much and stuff, you know? So if there's any way to reduce like that effect or whatever, I think it's a very tough image to look at for a while, you know? Like, yeah, like even looking at it now, I'm getting a little bit of a headache. And just, I know it's your style and all that stuff. Just keep that in mind, is if you want people to be looking at this and stuff like that, they're not going to be wanting to look at this for a while. I think there are many ways you can get around this with getting in the same style. Number one would be decreasing the amount of, or increasing the amount of time things are on, doing a transition effect instead of it just popping in and out, doing some type of transition like sliding, wiping, pushing, anything like that would be better. I also think though text is getting lost a little bit in all of this. You know, if you want the text to be the main focus of the shot, I think all of this stuff, some of the things, the white kind of bleeds into the background and stuff. That's a minor nitpick, because that might be subjective and stuff like that. And yeah, that'd be my main thing for that. Whoops, I didn't mean to. So we got some visual effects here. What is that? One piece. Everybody's been doing the cloth drops recently, so I guess that's a kind of super popular thing to do and stuff. This is pretty well done. I'd like to see maybe some reflections on the windows and some shadow most of all, but for what it is, I think it works. Maybe some defocus, and also we're losing a little bit of tracking at the very end. Those are the main things I would point out about this. So. Oh yeah, and then I do remember you talking about your comic that you're making, so got some behind the scenes stuff of that, so super cool. If you guys want to check out the full comic and everything, or some of the other panels and stuff, check out our Discord. I'm trying to remember, I think Showcase or something you showed it off, but super cool there. And I think that's everything, right? Yeah, so just more product renders. Yeah, super cool. Using Clo 3D and Blender Cycle. So I guess Clo 3D is that. Let's just see. So is it just a simulation tool? Okay, so it's just like a clothing thing. Super cool. Well, yeah. No, okay, so that is rating your visual effects, guys. Hopefully I was able to get to everybody who submitted their visual effects before the stream. Thanks so much to everybody who submitted. This is super fun. Again, don't worry if I didn't get to your work in this stream. I will, just so you guys know, in every stream I close it beforehand, so that's the reason I wasn't taking submissions during the stream. But we will be doing another stream of these, so definitely make sure to go over to our Discord to go ahead and submit for the fourth stream that we're doing of these. You can submit in the Google Drive folder. We already have some submissions, so I'm going to save those for next time. If you want to know when I'm going to be streaming, I'm hopefully going to be posting the stream next week. Hopefully around the weekend is what I would guess, but I will let you guys know in the announcements channel of my Discord, so make sure you join the Discord. I cannot tell you enough. You don't want to miss out on all the announcements I do over there, because that's when you know I'm going to be streaming like these. Of course, if you did miss the stream, there is going to be the video on demand is going to come out soon, and so that'll be here if you want to see it. Also, I plan to make some highlight videos of these streams just to milk all the content out of you guys. Now I'm just but I think it'll be a fun kind of learning experience and stuff like that. But thanks so much again, everybody, for joining this stream. It's been amazing. Thank you for letting me look at your work. It's always a blessing when you guys allow me to come into your personal space and critique your work. I know it's not always exactly what you want to hear, but it's valuable feedback that I found was really helpful for me in the early of my career. And so hopefully it's as helpful for you as it was for me. But anyways, thanks so much, everybody, for joining. Thanks, Abstract, for checking out the stream again. I am eventually going to stream and you're not going to be here, and I'm going to be very sad. And then Just Open Guy, amazing work as well. I will reach back out to you on Discord so we can see something. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and peace out.